previously talked in this course that climate change, besides being an ecological and even humanitarian problem, is an economic problem. As the carbon dioxide emitted by several economic activities is the climate change's main villain, it would be fair to evaluate its costs and, consequently, the price to avoid its emissions. Let's take as an example the choice of fueling a hybrid car, which accepts either gasoline or ethanol. We will not compare at this moment with an electric car, which still presents fewer options of refueling on roads and limitation in the travel distance without need of refueling. Usually the car owners don't take into account the fact that the ethanol produces less CO2 than gasoline. But how much they will pay for the liter of fuel, or, more precisely, how much they will spend per traveled kilometer with the chosen fuel. That is, given similar availability and equal general conditions, like the same amount of car maintenance, for example, the car owner's decision will be based on the fuel price. Prices are extremely relevant factors and, many times, the main factor considered in choosing a product or service. Thus, if the less polluting fuel is cheaper than the other, the CO2 emission reduction is favored. In a more sophisticated way, one can put a price on the non-emitted carbon and create a marketplace where one pays for this non-emitted carbon. This already exists in some countries. It's a mechanism established by the Kyoto Protocol in the 90s. But with the carbon price currently low, around $10 a ton, while the price of one oil barrel is around $70, there is little incentive to the adoption of less polluting transportation means or clean energy generation, among other economic activities. Globally, approximately 90% of the carbon emissions are not taxed or have a price negotiated in a carbon market. Some research findings indicate that in order to become an effective mechanism for reducing emissions, the price of carbon ton should be similar to the price of an oil barrel. If the carbon had such a price, for example, considering only this factor, the gasoline and diesel prices per liter would be some US cents more expensive, while the ethanol price would remain the same. Clean energy and other technology projects that are currently not economically viable would become viable if the price of carbon was high enough. When we talked about market failure, we said that the ones who pollute don't pay for the pollution costs, and the ones affected by it are not compensated for the harm they suffer. Putting a price on carbon would, in short, be a way of correcting this market failure. Our next video will be this climate change course last one, and we'll talk about what to do to minimize climate change. Until then,